Hey guys, Eugene Mulero with Transport Topics. Joining me is my colleagues David Elfin and Jonathan Reiskin, and ATA has some big news. They've actually have a successor for Bill Graves, and that is Chris Spear, who comes from Hyundai and was most recently a senior lobbyist at ATA. The announcement came on Friday, and David, you had the opportunity to speak with some previous chairmen of ATA, and they shared their thoughts on Chris Spear.
Yeah, obviously it helped Chris Spear that he had worked with so many people at ATA and had done a good job for them as a lobbyist. Phil Byrd, the former chairman who chaired the selection process, said what he really liked about Chris was the way he strategizes things, that he'll come up with an idea and won't have to be on a single track. He'll have 1, 2, or 3 different strategies to attack a problem. And both Phil Byrd and Pat Thomas, who's the current chairman, talked about, of course, Chris working for ATA, but they said, you know, name recognition wasn't that important because we heard so many big names in this process. They said they wanted somebody to be the most effective person, and they chose Chris Spear.
That's right. And Jonathan, you were there on Friday for the announcement, and you have covered Bill Graves for many years, and you were also here during Chris's duration as a senior lobbyist. What were your thoughts?
Chris was pretty effective during his roughly year-and-a-half stint from early 2014 through well into 2015. He is different from Graves, in that Graves was kind of a political superstar, being a former 2-term governor. That's big in the world of politics, whereas Chris has worked mainly in government relations or in federal government itself. Graves was pretty significant to ATA in terms of he brought a great deal of stability. There was a lot of tumult in the organization before he got here, and by virtue of his administrative experience and durability, he's the second longest serving ATA president, he managed to make this a more stable place, I think, and more in tune with reality of how things work. He was not reflexively opposed to everything. He was in favor of safety regulation. He was always talking about safety, and with good reason, but he wanted regulations that worked well. CSA has been a good example of that he was not opposed reflexively to CSA, but he wanted it to work well. Same thing on the environmental track. He's not reflexively opposed to that, but wants things that work well. And that's kind of refreshing today, that he understands how things work.
Yeah, and covering Capitol Hill for several years, I do recall seeing Chris Spear several times on the Hill, and he's a person who's very plugged in and very well respected. So, we look forward to his tenure as president of the organization. Check out Capitol Agenda on Tuesdays at ttnews.com. Thanks.